In order to be the best at something, you must be willing to struggle through a difficult path, one that will cause you to push all distractions aside so you can achieve your goal. However, just because you put your blood, sweat, and soul into something doesn't mean you will succeed. And on top of that, there will be others who will watch you and criticize the hell out of you for failing to achieve victory. And nowhere is this more present than the world of martial arts, where you and your fighting style are viewed as weak, where you are mocked and ridiculed, where your fighting style is considered garbage if it does not win, not only once but constantly. Fighters and their fighting styles have to be perfect in the eyes of those who can't even imagine the amount of effort it takes to be effective in the world of fighting. To stand a chance to be in shape to fight, or to even have enough mental strength to enter the ring. However, this isn't just about fighters themselves. This is about fighting styles and how people view them, and how people consider certain fighting styles weak and lesser, simply because the fighter could not win, ignoring the training both fighters put themselves through, ignoring that one fighter was probably better than the other. Yet in spite of all that, people will still say fighting styles is what matters, and not the fighter themselves. And no fight highlighted this better than the fight between some Wing Chun masters and MMA fighters. The Wing Chun fighters ultimately lost to the MMA fighters. And were they commented for having the courage to face those opponents? No. They were mocked and laughed at. Their fighting styles is unfairly ridiculed and more. Yet these Wing Chun fighters had the courage to step into a fight with these fighters, risking not only possible injury but also their reputation not only for themselves but for the fighting art that they represent as well. Yet people don't even give them credit for facing these opponents in the first place. They just call them losers and say how ineffective their fighting style is, never considering that one fighter might just have been better than the other. But no. In their shallow minds, it is the martial art, not the person behind it. At least the Wing Chun masters had the guts to face the MMA fighters, which is more than can be said for all these keyboard warriors and trolls. Another good example of this shallow thinking is the fight between Logan Paul and Mike Tyson. People spent weeks wondering how Tyson lost or thought he was paid to lose. Tyson was in his late 50s, for crying out loud. It was a bloody miracle he was able to get back into fighting shape and last all 8 rounds without once being knocked to the ground. And even after the fight was over, Logan Paul was humble and said nothing but good things about Tyson. Yet people scrambled like madmen, trying to figure out how Tyson lost, coming up with all kinds of crazy reasons, yet never congratulating him on going through with the challenge that Logan Paul gave him. Instead, they blame all those other factors, which is ironic given that people usually blame the fighting style, not the fighter. And while we're on that, many consider Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA to be the best of the best in the world of martial arts. If that is true, then shouldn't all those BJJ and MMA bouts end in a tie? How come there is a winner and a loser? It couldn't be that one fighter is better than the other. After all, it's the martial art, not the martial artist that makes the difference. How can there possibly be a victor? And with that, we come to the one who sparked this whole tale. The YouTube commenter at KenF33. We'll just call him Ken for short. And I wish I could say he was the hero of this tale. However, he's just another brain-dead troll. I commented on a video and for some reason this saying drives people nuts. How it's not the art but the artist. He responded by saying, it's like saying it's not the paintbrush, it's the painter. Trying to paint with your bare hands is more difficult than you think. And then I responded And I responded by saying, "You're comparing apples to tomatoes." Which this individual was. Which was this individual was doing. Sorry, W is hard to pronounce. The candidate asked for an example, which I gave him. A fighter doesn't necessarily need a weapon to fight. However, a painter needs a paintbrush to paint. And even then, a paintbrush on its own can't create a masterpiece. Only the artist using the brush can. Just like in martial arts, a fighting style only works if the fighter makes it work. And that can respond again by saying, there are painters of modern art who splash paint on the canvases for work of art. And then he responded again by saying, a painter can throw paint on a canvas and call it modern art. Anyway, just think about all that, what's realistic, and you'll find it's not that easy to implement OTMA techniques in there entirely. You see how lame brain trolls like Ken miss the point entirely? A paintbrush can't create a masterpiece on its own, can it? Not without someone wielding it. Even then, if two painters compete with one another, and if both are using the same tools and techniques, but one manages to create a better painting, it's because that one was a better painter. Same thing if the painters use different methods and tools. If one creates a better painting, it's because one was better at painting. The same can be said for fighting. It doesn't matter how you fight. All that matters is that you win the fight. Everything else is just talk. I know this video won't change anyone's mind, nor will it get people to rethink their opinion. Haters are going to hate no matter what. I just think it's incredibly shallow to think that a fighter lost a fight simply because of their fighting style. That's like saying a bladesmith lost a bladesmithing competition because of the method they used to forge the blade, when it was their lack of skill. Same can be said for fighting or for anything. It is the person behind the technique, not the technique itself. It always comes down to the person using the technique. Can you pull off or not? This is why you don't see boxers all use the same punching techniques, because not all of them can. And what works for one boxer may not work for another. It's like what Bruce Lee said. Absorb what is useful, reject what is useless. Add what is your own. Could anyone say it better than Bruce Lee? Like I said before, I know this video won't change any minds. However, I wanted to talk about this because I'm interested in the science behind martial arts as well as a casual practitioner of the fighting arts. And I don't like it when we compare styles and say one is better than the other. It's like saying badminton is better than tennis. When we do things like that, we are limiting ourselves from learning new things, from experiencing new things. When you try something new, there is the possibility you will fail at it, and that's okay, but that doesn't mean you should go around saying that this thing is terrible simply because you failed at it. And yes, there are people who put down other fighting styles for all kinds of reasons, mostly because I think they tried a particular martial art and it didn't turn them into some unbeatable warrior. Guess what? No martial art will do that for you. Only you can make yourself stronger. The fighting style you practice should just be a means of getting you to there. Because at the end of the day, it's not the martial art, it's the martial arts. Why people get offended by that is beyond me. Then again, could it be the times we live in. We live in an era where everyone gets offended by everything. Anyway, I just want to get that off my chest. And please, keep the comments civil. I'm sure this video will trigger some wannabe martial artists who scream and say I'm wrong and it's the other way around. If that's what you think, then that's fine. All I ask is that you be polite about explaining your opinion. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll be back.